Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to Season 6 and episode number 894 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Oh, Canada, always 100% Canadian and always beaverific. See, I needed something else for this cup. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A, and not with me as usual is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. And today, recording day, is Monday, April 27th, 2026, and it is a lovely, gorgeous day here at the Beaver Lodge, just looking outside the window here. Again, you can see the little groovy effects right here from the sun coming through the window. Beautiful blue sky, big white fluffy cloud. Hopefully somebody will take me up on my offer for playing tennis today, because the nets are back up, and I've been putting out the call all weekend long because the weekend was nice, and I guess everybody is up getting their cottages ready, so nobody wanted to take me up on my offer. I want to get out there. I want to get out there. It's the first year where tennis and curling haven't overlapped, so I've had like about a week and a half with like no sports. Put a racket in my hand and make me run, especially because this beaver needs to lose a little weight. Picked up a few pounds over the course of the winter. So yeah, I am looking forward to it. I have a match scheduled for tomorrow morning against that guy at the club who's really, 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 really good. Who I finally was able to win one game against in a match. Last year, did it twice. This year, hoping for two or more. Picked up a couple of tricks since I played him last, and hopefully, and I have some strategies up here for what I want to work on this year to help me get to a couple of extra games against this guy. I don't know how he does it, man. He doesn't even seem to run when I play him. He just seems to know exactly where I'm gonna hit it. I guess he puts me in situations where there's only like one place I really could actually try to hit the ball, and then he just stands there and waits for it, and just it's like, hey, he plays me. So I have to find a way to kind of get around that. And like I said, I've been strategizing all winter. Got some things I want to try, and of course, when I get on the court, I'm going to first try them, and I'm not going to be able to do them because I won't actually know how to do the things that I spent all winter thinking up. But that will be the point of the season, is trying these things and failing spectacularly at the beginning, and then eventually connecting about like 10% of the time, and then more and more and more until it actually becomes an arrow in my quiver. Oh man. Gets a big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Kids and cubs, how is your mental health doing today? As you can tell, I am doing very, very well. Thank you very much. Sorry for being a little late. I was going to start at the time put up on display. However, about 5 minutes before going live, I came across a bit of information that made me severely doubt one of the premises or one of the segments or the portions of segments I was going to do today. And I had to be sure because it was a quote. And there was a sound clip that I heard associated with something, uh, and but I wanted to see if it was on video rather than just a sound file. And for some reason, I wasn't able to find it on video because I was missing a bit of source information. And then I saw the quote appear somewhere, but it seemed to be attributed to something that had happened about a year ago. And as you know, online, often people will take clips and video and quotes from something that's associated with an entirely other event that happened some time ago and repackage it and present it like it's associated to a current event. And I was hoping, I was running with something and fearing at the last second that I maybe got caught on that because as much verification as I try to do, um, uh, I'm not perfect, and there's just one of me. Sometimes, I get fooled. So I wanted to be sure that I had that correct before, and now that I'm like thinking back in hindsight, I shouldn't have been panicked at all because where I heard the clip originally was on CBC. So I knew it was a real thing and it was from a newscast from today. So I knew it was, well, like I said, I assumed it was from today. And I could have been okay with that. But then, um, I hadn't, the reason I still had a doubt, uh, it was that, sometimes in a news clip, they will show you a clip of something that is in the past. Now, of course, it's attributed and it's written. You can see like the date stamp on video news or whatnot. But I didn't remember or having listened for um, if this was an archive piece that was brought into the story. So that's why I wanted to go make sure. And then when I saw you know, that thing attributed to another date, I panicked and was like, ah, and you know, I should have been, I should have maintained the confidence that I had at the beginning, that everything was okay. But everything was okay, so I didn't have to rewrite the section, which is good, or drop it. So there you go, kids and cubs. Slight explanation, but I just wanted to make sure that I had absolute quality information for you, kids and cubs. There. Just see here what I've got from you in the chat here. Uncover the news. Mr. Beaver, if you want to be petty this morning, one of the MAGA suggested to Trump to call ICE nice agents. If you saw the this hour's 22 minutes skit about the nice agents, that one has levels. Exactly. Uh, my. Uh, says that 22 minutes will have a field day. Yeah, you have to. You have to. They're handing them comedy gold. And their their skit impressions of Carolyn Levitt have been picking up some international traction on the socials. Going, oh my God, she's exactly like this. Let's see here. Kit Linda, does the title mean we're doing shots this morning? If you like. Hey, uh, y- you send some pictures, post some pictures. Uh, no, actually, you know what? I can't do that. I was going to say you post some pictures of you taking a morning shot because it's 11 o'clock somewhere. And I'll run to the kitchen and I'll pour myself one. But I think it's a little early for a little early in the day and in the week for 8 a.m. drinking. It's behavior I probably should not encourage. But if it was a little later in the afternoon, I probably would take you up on that. Toronto 10 going tequila rose, please. Ah, yeah, okay. Well, if you guys are doing the shots, I'm providing the belly button. Ah. Go full Boilermaker. Oh my god. Jeez. No, 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 no. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Kiteviji singing Ballroom Blitz. Oh my god. Oh, jeez, that's awful. That's awful. And I approve. But oh my god, that's terrible. Uh, Bucky, I can't believe the extent of the doubt over the ballroom shooting from people not known as conspiracy. It strains credulity for sure. Hey, I was right there. I won't lie. I was right there. That was my first reaction. That was my absolute first reaction. It was like, uh, isn't April a little early for summer reruns? It was one of my first thoughts because, I think of him as the TV president, and it's not like there hasn't been a scenario or a screenplay like this that's been presented to us before. If one was a conspiracy theorist, and then you saw a lot of the clips. Of course, we're talking about the shooting at the White House Correspondents Association's dinner over the course of the weekend. We just kind of sort of got into it as I was reading some chat stuff. Um, but yeah, um, there were images going around of Trump being shown a piece of paper by somebody, and it's Trump having a smirk, and people going, "Gee, yeah, right." What kind of person smirks? It turns out that the person showing the piece of paper was the mentalist in question that had been hired to um, host the ceremony, be the MC of the ceremony's events, because, of course, well, uh, Donald Trump not having been to a White House Correspondents Association dinner since 2011 when, well, Barack Obama and Seth Meyers tore a strip out of him when he was there in the audience as a celebrity guest because he was on his birther tour thingy. They decided not to have a comedian this year. I wonder why. President Crumpled Thinskin had a mentalist instead, a guy who became well known thanks to a good run on America's Got Talent. And it seems that this person was doing a trick and there's something involving somebody's name and had a piece of paper with it and was showing it. And that's when the things happened. So uh, again, when you're getting these things, these little clips, and you think, oh, what kind of person smirks? What do you think? Well, yeah, it's like if this is staged and okay, it's working, gives a little smirk. Okay, yeah, sure, I'll go down. Secret Service, tackle me. Oh, but these little clips are all taken in isolation, right? So you have to go back and you have to look in time and you have to like see who's involved in them and all that kind of stuff. So it turns out that's not shots fired and then smirk. The plan is working. Look at them all go down. Oh, I guess it's my turn to participate to make it look like uh, you know this is really happening. We're treating this like it's real now. But um, you know when you put that in the chronological order of things, oh, okay, right. They even had me zooming in on the piece of paper to see what was written on it. Was it a security agent? That was letting them know that on a piece of paper that just very discreetly, like act like nothing's wrong, but you guys need to come with me or something. Uh, yeah, conspiracy theorists, because that's the thing about pretty much everything coming out of your mouth, either being trash or a lie. Remember, Donald Trump is not a source. Donald Trump says, Donald Trump says. Yeah, Donald Trump says a lot of things, but he's not a source, at least not a reliable one, right? Um, so yeah, and Donald Trump loves to stage things, and Donald Trump loves to revise history, and Donald Trump likes to rework everything so that he's the hero in every story, or at least not the failure, right? So you imagine staged, and no one would actually put it past him. It's not like he hasn't staged things. Hello, John Barrow. Um, but yeah, it's I think we're at a point that he has turned himself into such a Bond villain that everybody is just first very much willing to assume that whatever's going on, the cliffhanger of the day, uh, is just another part of the reality show. Because at this point, it's getting hard to distinguish what is and what isn't. But maybe that's the reason why these things keep happening. There's a journalist that asked him, "Why do these things, with respect, why do these things keep happening to you?" Oh, uh, maybe when you treat reality as if it is a reality TV show, um, people watching the show um, might choose to believe the show's a little more interactive and that they got a role to play. We saw that with that pizza thing, right? There were people convinced that there was a uh, pedophile ring going on in the basement of a certain pizza place. Somebody decided that they had to fix that because everybody was talking about it, but nobody was doing anything about it. It's, uh, one of the things about this, it's not a new political thing. People have always been weaving narratives, but because of social media and everything, and people um, having their ability to be their own means of production and not necessarily having to go through the filter of the media. And then, well, with media, you can ask about how reliable it is in terms of doing its job of providing that filter. Uh, but people can go around and everybody's a publisher now, right? So you can give your message directly without any inconvenient questions or interruptions. Uh, when you create a world like that, that is based on untruths or that is based on vilifying a certain segment of society or certain segment of people in order to maintain yourself elevated or keep a position, maintain or grow a following, acquire power, either through actual traditional means or influence means or monies or clicks or likes or whatever it is that you are after, when you are willing to weave a constant tale, never ending, with every day adding layers to it, of how one particular person or group of people or class of people is responsible for all the ills of the world or for all the ills in your world. Because, I'm talking to you, right? You watching. It's just you and me, right? We're on the internet, but it's just you and me. I'm talking to you, right? That sort of way of communicating and framing things. Um, you can't be surprised that there are going to be some people who are going to take that seriously and act on it. I mean, we're seeing it even with AI chatbots now. People looking to that technology for reassurance and advice and other things of the like, things that people are not clearly not getting in their daily lives and really need. And bad things happening as a result. Um, you can't. This is one of the things on the show that we rail against. You cannot keep on pumping political, rhetorical fentanyl into the bloodstream of a society and not expect that there will be certain random elements of that society that will come up and might take you seriously and act upon that. But yeah, indeed. Um, there were other moments, clips of Kash Patel, FBI director, seeming to be just sort of like sitting around, not too excited or bothered, or seemingly particularly preoccupied by what was happening. Images of J.D. Vance seemingly being escorted out prior to Donald Trump. Why is that? Is there a conspiracy there? Um, there are lots of things out there, and lots of again, particularly within in an event like this, within the first 48 to 72 hours, when we don't know much and there's still a vacuum and things are still being investigated and reports are coming in. And again, one of the things that we keep on telling you is that early in these reports, some of the information is wrong, and early on, it was stated that the shooter was dead. It turns out that that was not the case. The shooter has been arrested, charged, and will be arraigned today. At least two charges. One, I think it was committing a crime using a firearm, and I believe the other one was an assault on an officer because a security officer had been shot. Fortunately, had a bulletproof vest on and wasn't very injured. Um, but still, um, lots of questions about security, how the person could have gotten there. The person didn't get past the metal detectors. It seems that the person in question was charging to get through that part to get to the ballroom. It would seem that the ballroom itself was secured. Uh, but did try to charge through, but did get through with several knives, a shotgun, and a handgun. And people were wondering how that person could have got to that place within the uh, the hotel. And that's another stuff, another bit that led to people automatically assuming that something might have been staged, because if things were done well, that should not have happened. Now, of course, this was taking place at the Washington Hilton, which is a very huge hotel. I think it has like 1,000 rooms. Um, Oddly enough, um, not the first time there was shots fired at that hotel. On March 30th, 1981, Ronald Reagan, the president of the United States, was shot and wounded by John Hinckley Jr. as Reagan was returning to his limousine after a speaking engagement at the Washington Hilton Hotel. At the time, Hinckley believed the attack would impress the actress Jodie Foster, with whom he had developed an erotomanic obsession after viewing her in the 1976 film Taxi Driver. Boy, was he ever barking up the wrong tree. I'm just saying. Boy. Yeah, Jodie Foster was never going to be all that into you. Just saying. Ooh. Um, so yeah, not the first time something has happened there. And so yeah, people wondering how that person could have gotten to that phase, because there should have been some security like prior to entering the hotel and whatnot. So how did the person get to the floor where the event was being taken place and get to um, the metal detection area? It would seem that the person in question was actually staying at the hotel, was a guest at the hotel, had traveled from California via Chicago by train. Not as many screening measures when you travel by train as you do by plane, and had booked himself a room at the hotel, so was already in the hotel, and therefore, you know, didn't have to get to the hotel and go through that door. I guess, um, to get that bit of screening. However, there are still some issues with regard to that. Um, according to, let me see here, this open for you. Um, the Washington Post. It seems that there were indeed some issues with security. The first that I had heard came from Simone Sanders, who's a now working with MS Now, but I know used to be rather high-ranking with the Democratic Party at the time. And then she went more onto the media side of things. So, you know, again, wanting to be sure that I wasn't just taking um, something that had bias. Um, I wanted to check somewhere else to see if I could get some information on that. For some reason, I think um, I may have. Oh, darn. I think I may have the article that I'm looking for. I got to see it when I was looking for it on my phone this morning, but I think because it is the Washington Post and I'm not subscribed to it, I think I had a number of free articles, and now that I want to try and bring it up on my computer, it is unfortunately behind a paywall, and therefore I cannot bring it to you as part of the show. But it does say here that according to the title, Correspondents' Dinner lacked highest security level despite presence of top officials. The White House Correspondents' Dinner, attended by the president and several cabinet ministers, was not given top security status that would have unlocked the full weight of federal resources. Um, oh, wait a minute. No, I'm wrong. It did come back. Okay. Yay. I was able to transfer it. So here, what I have, it's Emily Davies, Isaac Ann Arnstorff, and Jeremy Roebuck, and Jill Heim. The Trump administration provided a lower level of security for the White House Correspondents' Dinner than it has for other gatherings of high-ranking officials, even though the president and many cabinet members were in attendance, according to officials familiar with the plan. President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance were quickly evacuated to safety Saturday when a gunman charged the security perimeter and attempted to storm the ballroom at the Washington Hilton Hotel. Others in attendance included Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. The concentration of high-ranking leaders in one ballroom left the nation Let's try that again. The concentration of high-ranking leaders in one ballroom left the nation unusually vulnerable as the would-be assassin raced past Secret Service before he was apprehended. A worst-case scenario might have resulted in passing the power of the presidency to the senior-most senator of the majority party, Chuck Grassley, Republican Iowa, who was not at the event and is third in line to the presidency behind Vance and Johnson. When so many officials gather in one place for official functions, such as an inauguration or a State of the Union address, the Secretary of Homeland Security typically puts the Secret Service in charge of coordinating all security through a formal designation known as a National Special Security Event. There was no such designation on Saturday night at an event also attended by thousands of journalists and other government officials, according to local and federal officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss security details. The suspected gunman wrote a statement saying he wanted to target members of the Trump administration and ridiculed what he called lax security at the hotel, according to two law enforcement officials familiar with the writings. He said Iranian agents could easily have brought more dangerous weapons to the venue, according to the text. The White House referred to questions to the Department of Homeland Security, which did not immediately respond to requests for comment. A spokesperson for the Washington Hilton said in an email that a Secret Service, quote, that the Secret Service, quote, led security for the event. The Secret Service did not answer questions about its role. Gee, I wonder why. When D.C. government officials said they were not aware of an instance when the annual dinner had been designated a national special security event, it typically hosts high-ranking officials, but the lineup of those who attend varies from year to year. WHCA, White House Correspondents Association, Executive Director Steve Thoma also said in a text he was not aware of such a designation in the past. Quote, "Not a thing that's ever come up in my time as executive director," said Thoma, who has been the association's executive director since 2017. So I guess this is not really an issue then. The Secret Service considered the site it was charged with protecting to be the ballroom and the immediate perimeter around it, according to two law enforcement officials briefed on the investigation who spoke on the condition of anonymity because there's a pending prosecution. The agency did not take responsibility for the entire Hilton Hotel. Outside, DC police handled road closures and traffic. In between, there was no clear responsibility for the security of the thousands of guests and the rest of the Hilton property, where authorities said the suspect had booked a room. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said Sunday he did not view the incident as a security failure. The gunman was detained before reaching the ballroom. Quote, "On the contrary, it was a massive security success story," Blanche said during an interview with CNN's Dana Bash. I mean, if you think about what happened as far as we know right now, the suspect barely breached the perimeter. The full range of security precautions taken before and during the event was not immediately detailed by authorities. Attendees were free to enter the hotel with only a paper or digital ticket, then mill about for hours before walking through metal detectors. Attendees, including Senator John Fetterman, Democrat Pennsylvania, and Carrie Lake, senior advisor for the U.S. Agency for Global Media, questioned the security at the event. Representative Richie Torres, Democratic New York, called for an investigation. In a post on X, Grassley said he was setting up a briefing with Secret Service leadership about, quote, security protocols and related law enforcement matters involving the dinner. He thanked the Secret Service for quick action at the scene. DC police said the gunman was armed with a shotgun, a handgun, and knives. One Secret Service officer was struck by a bullet, but protected by a bulletproof vest. Blanche said authorities initially believed the suspect fired the shot that struck the officer, also believed to be a lone wolf, but they are looking into that. Quote, "While this was extraordinarily dangerous and put a lot of lives at risk," Blanche said during an interview with NBC News' Meet the Press, "the system worked. All of us were safe. President Trump was safe." Every time I see something, I hear the system worked, then I immediately think of like that song "When You're Good to Mama" from Chicago. Because the system works, the system called reciprocity. Ba-ba-na-na-na-na-na. I don't know. There's certain like little phrases and sentences that like just prompt songs. I mean, I just want to break out into song. Ah. In a statement, WHCA President Wei Zhang said the evening was a harrowing moment for everyone in attendance. Our dinner exists to celebrate the First Amendment and the hard daily work of the journalists who defend it, Zhang wrote. The WHCA board will be meeting to assess what happened and determine how to proceed. We will provide updates as soon as any are available. Zhang and Thoma did not immediately respond to questions about whether there had been any discussion with DHS prior to the dinner about whether it should be designated a national special security event or who was responsible for security outside the immediate perimeter of the ballroom. The absence of a national special security event designation last came under scrutiny for the failure to protect the U.S. Capitol during the certification of the presidential election results on January 6, 2021. Pro-Trump rioters overpowered the Capitol Police and breached the building, forcing lawmakers to evacuate and suspending the certification for hours. The Capitol was eventually cleared with help from the D.C. Police, federal agents, and National Guard. In the aftermath, the House January 6th committee, the Government Accountability Office, and the Justice Department Inspector General all recommended designating future electoral certifications as national special security events. The joint session of Congress on January 6, 2025 was such an event with the Secret Service in charge. A DC government official briefed on the preparation for the event who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly, said national special security events tend to be for multi-day events with regular attendance by the presidents and top cabinet officials. This is a dinner that he might not go to at the last minute and is not annually attended by him, the official said in a text message in response to questions about why the event was not given the high security level. Quote, "The State of the Union can only occur with the president. The WHCD has occurred many times without POTUS." Trump told reporters after the dinner that Secret Service and law enforcement did what they were supposed to do. Quote, "I'm the one that would complain," he said on Saturday night. "I'd be up here right now saying they didn't do their job. Oh, believe me, because, it's my life." Probably the one true thing he said. So yeah, definitely some questions about the security level there, which again, when there's an opening like that, a conspiracy theorist will run through the door. So, but it's not exactly that um, surprising that so many people would consider it's fake right off the bat and would need to be convinced otherwise at the moment. There was also other clips of like people, well, a whole bunch of people were ducking under tables, like or still down or not in sight. One person's still sitting at the table, just eating their meal. And it's like, well, gee. But again, when in time was that, right? Um, had it been, you know, 5 minutes after the last time anybody heard any shots fired, but they still hadn't gotten an update, but about what was going on, and any instructions on how to leave, and well, you're just sitting there and you don't know, so well, might as well make the best of it. uh, right? There were other images of people taking the bottles of booze away, people showing images that the plates had no food on them, right? So clearly this was staged, right? They hadn't even ordered the food. It happened so quick, right? Got up for the national anthem and then it happened. But turns out no food had been served. Either that the salad course was coming out or was were coming out for some and being removed for others or whatnot. Um, so, but again, all these things that people latch on to say, oh yeah, this was staged, secure. Uh, And again, that is indeed something having to do with just the sheer amount of lies that have been told up until now. Um, when your modus operandi is to lie, you shouldn't be surprised at some point that everybody assumes you're lying. When you complain that everything is rigged while you're in the background trying to rig things, one should not be surprised if one is suspected of rigging things. It becomes one of those they who stir the pot should not act surprised when some of the contents wind up on their hands. Just that. Let's see what we have here on that. I had a couple extra things with regard to this event. 'Cause, so yeah, as I mentioned, Trump attending the press gallery dinner was going to be the first one since Obama and Seth Meyers mercilessly roasted him in 2011. He had boycotted them since, never attended in his first term. U.S. Attorney for Washington, Janine Pirro, says that the suspect was armed again with handgun and knives. Quote, right now, the defendant is being charged with 2 counts, 924C, using a firearm during a crime of violence, and a second crime under 111, which is assault on a federal officer using a dangerous weapon. The suspect will be arraigned Monday in federal district court. Trump spoke at the White House afterwards. Of course, he was a sick person, a very sick person, something you would expect Trump to say. Trump said that he wanted the event to continue and fought like hell for it to to do so. But of course, protocols require that an event be canceled. He says that it is merely postponed. He looks forward to it. Apparently, he was set to speak, and according to Carolyn Levitt, uh, it was supposed to be very entertaining, is what we were told. Um, Found it particularly interesting. Um, Found it particularly interesting that those who are frequently criticizing the media, particularly um, this administration, Uh, they hate it, but they don't, right? Because they're always posing and preening for it. Uh, and this is Carolyn Levitt here on Fox News. Now, again, this is a night that's supposed to be honoring the media and honoring the independent press, something that these particular group of people do not believe in. This particular fascistic conservative movement actually believes in just one voice. You can have as many media outlets as you want, really, but just one voice. And everybody has to be saying the same thing because if you don't, then you're not a true believer and you're not one of us, right? There's a certain purity test element to this movement. And there's a big push to concentrate the media. I mean, uh, the great overwhelming majority of Canada's media and of our print publications are owned by one company, Chatham Asset Management Group in the United States, 63% owned by it, I think, or something like that. And that's a company that is very, very pro Trump. And it trickles down in the manner that they cover the news and the manner that they cover Canadian news from that perspective as well. Robert Reich in the United States, who's a Berkeley professor and a former Secretary of Labor, has pointed out very recently the richest man owns Twitter. The second and fourth richest man control Google. The third richest man owns Washington Post. The fifth richest man owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. And now the sixth richest has taken over Paramount and Warner Brothers. The media is being concentrated in the hands of very, 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 very few. And if all those very, 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 very few support the same political ideology, at some point, the information that we receive becomes rather monolithic and rather homogeneous and rather um, curated and shaped so that we are worked and our reality, the boundaries of the sound boxes that we believe reality to be occurring in change. And we don't have control of where they go. Um, and this is so this is happening in the States, it's happening in Canada, media is being concentrated. And you have in the hands of the people that keep not to trust media and keep on trying to make you believe that media is now today massively very pro-liberal. And you have to understand that media is not pro-liberal. But if you are doing journalism, right, um, it's not that you're more woke than anybody else. It's if you're doing journalism, you just meet such a broad cross section of people over the course of your career, over the course of time. So many stories, so many people from all over, all different kinds. It's kind of hard to maintain prejudices because you see the best and the worst of everyone in every group. You know through your experience doing the job that they're not all good and they're not all bad. You talk to people who don't look like you, who don't worship like you do, who don't love like you, who don't get around like you do. And still they have stories that you find compelling, that resonate with you. That's being human. You have to be curious when you're a journalist. You have to ask why, how, when, what, where. You can't come in with the story you want to write. You have to go out and find what the story is and write it. If you're doing the job well, which means you have to be open-minded. These are prerequisites to do the job and do the job well. You're not on some mission to indoctrinate or whatnot. This, you just, you're doing the job of journalism. You're documenting what's going on. You're going out and you're meeting people. You're creating a public record of what actually happened, what actually people actually think and feel, what they've actually done. And in the process, hopefully you realize that most people are essentially good. Right? And like I stated before, there's no one person or group of people that are all of anything. And that nobody has the monopoly on good or bad, or smart, or decent, or underhanded, or unethical. It just comes with the job. And this particular movement doesn't like that because they don't like nuance. And it needs enemies. It constantly needs something to war or rage against. And the things they need to war rage against, it has to be either this holy war, something that needs to be completely annihilated. There's no middle ground. It has to be all the way up to that extreme. The volume has to go to 11 or 12. So these people have to be completely evil and sick and twisted, and they must be stopped, destroyed, eliminated, deported to a third country. Right? So these people don't like the media. Except for when they have a chance to be on media. Let's say media, they disparage every day while wearing something sparkly and shiny.
It'll be funny. It'll be entertaining. There will be some shots fired tonight in the room. So everyone should tune in. It's going to be really great. I'm looking forward to hearing it.
I love it.
It'll be funny.
Oh, boy. That is a quip. That had a little more foreshadowing than one had expected. Wow. And another thing that clearly led to the conspiracy theorists. How did she know there were going to be shots fired? I see moments like this, right, where they hit the media like this, but then they put on something sparkly, and it's like, oh, it's gonna be wonderful tonight. And it's just like that they are. It keeps on bringing me to that expression that politics is show business for people, blank people. You just add the word in there. Either some people say ugly people, homely people, or for people that just don't have the talent to make it in regular show business. But it's like they're all just always auditioning for American Fox Idol, aren't they? Oh my God. Absolutely wild. So yeah, that's what we got from there for now. Couple of little extra tidbits here and there. Um, it would seem that we're finding out a little bit more about the shooter in question. It would seem that he is 31 and an engineer by education, I believe. Um, Working often as a tutor, uh, considered himself, uh, says a teacher by birth. Uh, it would seem, as we mentioned, that he had sent a manifesto uh, to his brother, I believe it is, who had called everything in to the police, and his sister had stated that he had been known to make some radical statements of the type, um, things like, he's got to do something to solve the issues with the world. It would seem that in the note, he had apologized to friends and family, and of course, stated that he did not believe that he would survive. But he has. It seems that he is not cooperating with authorities, according to uh, Todd Blanche, who is the new head of the, oh God, was it? Acting Attorney General, he is. Yeah. Suspect is in custody, not cooperating. They got some of this information, of course, combing through evidence from electronic devices. So yes, company, he had been working recently for a company that provides students with tutoring to prepare for college entry exams. Let's see, what else do we have here? There we go. That's the thing, how he describes himself here. Mechanical engineer and computer scientist by degree, independent game developer by experience, teacher by birth. Document he wrote said that he wanted to target officials associated with the Trump administration. According to his social media content, he had visited gun ranges in California and did attend at least one No Kings march, but has no criminal record. And of course, this is leading Donald Trump to claim, of course, well, this is why we need the White House ballroom, because if we had this at the White House ballroom, things like this would never happen. Not sure how true that is, because first of all, the White House Correspondents Association dinner is a private event, not a White House event, and the White House ballroom is probably not for, for rent or lease for events. They would actually have to be White House events, and I'm not sure that the White House Correspondents Association would be all too happy it given up its event to the actual White House. So that maybe doesn't have anything to do with it. King Charles supposed to be visiting the United States this week. It seems that there have been lots of chat between them, and that the king will be going to the United States regardless. There may be there may be fewer public events type things, but it seems that he will be going regardless. So will new newly minted Premier of Quebec, Christine Fréchette. She has a trip to the United States scheduled this week to meet people and make the case for Quebec and U.S. Business ties while she's out there. So it seems that she is going to keep going ahead with that as well. We've had comments, of course, from world leaders on the event. Nothing particularly extraordinary, of course, but the typical boilerplate statements that one would expect us of such a situation. You know, expressing alarm and concern and hoping that everything's all right. Thanking those first responders, things of the like. But yes, Prime Minister stated here, I'm relieved that the President, the First Lady, and all guests are safe following reports of gunfire at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington tonight. Political violence has no place in any democracy, and my thoughts are with all those who have been shaken by this disturbing event. So there you go. Take a look to see if there was anything extra on that here. And nope, that was about it. So yeah, that's what we have here on that. And of course, we'll probably be getting more information as the day comes, and of course with the arraignment and all of that happening. But yes, does not appear, based on the details, to be a staged event of any kind here. But yes, it is. I agree with you, Bucky. It is very interesting how a lot of people just immediately went there and needed to be convinced that it was actually something genuine. And I will admit, I was one of them. I needed to be convinced. All right. Talking about shots fired, kids and cubs. The Premier of Manitoba had a lot to say over the course. I'm not sure if it was only on the course of the weekend or perhaps on Friday. But this weekend, because some of these were interviews this weekend as well. Premier Wab Kinew is wonderful and wonderful in that, how would you put it? He has this happy warrior thing, but he also has this ability to deliver statements rather plainly and clearly, and rather unambiguously. And a lot of people sometimes wonder if he meant what he said. Like, did you really say that? Did you mean to say that? Are you sure you meant to say that? And Mr. Kinew does not stutter. It would appear very clear that when it is that he decides that he is going to say something, particularly if it's something that will make your eyes go, he has indeed thought it out before and is very clear that he is going to say this. He is, because he backs it up, and he how do you put it? He backs it up in such a way. I don't know. There's this strength or quiet confidence involved when he does it, that makes you how do you put it? Certain that he's really solid here in what he believes. Uh, so he granted an interview with CTV news channel. I think Mike Lecouteur is his name, hosting it. Power Play, CTV Power Play, is when Vashi Kapelis is not on. And the issue of trade with the United States came up because, as you know, kids and cubs, we are definitely going to be going down that path with the renegotiation of CUSMA. Well, not renegotiation, I should say, the review of CUSMA. Let's call things what they are. And in that process, the trade representative, Mr. Greer, and the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, I was able to say it right this time, are indicating that our boycott of American booze is particularly effective and disconcerting to them. Once again, of course, pretending that they just cannot understand why all of this is happening because, well, again, when you are a conservative in 2026 in politics, history always starts immediately after the last time you did something douchey or provoking or insensitive or rude or illegal, such as slapping on illegal tariffs that are clear violations of our trade agreement, as the Prime Minister has let known rather firmly. And then you go around saying that a country sucks. And then it's outrageous that a country, or some people of a country, would respond to talk of casually musing loud about annexing them, applying economic coercion upon them to get them to bend to your will and lick your boots. That would prompt them to say, yeah, but no, that won't be happening. You can try. But yeah, they consider that completely outrageous. It's a complete total irritant, and we need to remove that. How dare we respond? How dare we stand up for ourselves? How dare we provide an example to other nations? And of course, there are a lot of votes in Kentucky. They absolutely need that state, and well, Kentucky bourbon's kind of taking a hit, isn't it? Oh well. And we see the Prime Minister pushing back. Yeah, if you want to talk about irritants, talk about the 50% tariffs on our steel and aluminum, our tariffs on lumber, and everything else that they are doing. Let's talk about that. We have members of the Canadian delegation stating that they might have an entry fee or two of their own. Mr. Greer saying that there is going to be tariffs no matter what, and that they are probably not going to touch those sectoral tariffs. Canada is not particularly keen to wanting to make any other new concessions, even less entry fee ones, until we get a little action on those. And we've got time because it doesn't look like the Strait of Hormuz is going to have traffic circulating anytime soon, based on what's happened this weekend. And America doesn't really have a great source of aluminum at the moment that's cheap. And well, they are in the middle of war, and they would need a lot of aluminum if they plan to restock stuff. So maybe they'll be willing to come to some agreement. at some time soon. But yeah, Premier of Manitoba basically saying no, he's not going to be removing the booze. Prime Minister of Canada basically saying, that's not an irritant. We have irritants ourselves, and basically saying, hey, it's the liquor control boards, man. The premiers are independent. I don't have any control off them. You have to take it up with them. Sorry, dude. Canada is not like the United States. I'm sorry, I'm not like you. I can't go to every governor and say do what I want and expect that happens. That's not how it works here. And besides, Mr. President, as I told you in the awful office, when you talking about annexing us, that I talked to the shareholders of Canada, and they said that the property wasn't for sale. I also talked about the shareholders of Canada, and they basically said even if we put the booze back on the shelves, they wouldn't buy it, and I can't make them so. I hear your plea, and I'm moved. I really, really am. Trust me. But nothing I can do for you. Not my department. Sorry. Premier of Ontario, about the only vestige left of his Captain Canada thing that he exploited to get reelected to a third majority is the fact that the booze are off the shelves because he's pretty much betrayed everything else. That Captain Canada thing didn't last long with Doug Ford. But on the booze one, that's a highly visible one. That's one that resonates with the public and works for him. So he's maintaining that one. So it doesn't look like anything's going to be happening there for the United States anytime soon. And the two provinces that did, Alberta and Saskatchewan, well, I mean, what have they gotten for it? Maybe they should consider putting them back on. Because putting the American booze on the shelf certainly didn't help us. Just saying. So yeah, Wab Kinew making it very clear that the booze is going to stay on the shelves. And then coming up somewhere along the way with, if they don't, if they continue on being dicks, maybe there are a couple of other things that we can ask for or that we can put on. I mean, since we're just spitballing and putting things out there. So let's have a little listen here to what it is that Mr. Kinew is proposing that got some eyes opening up as big as toonies and got some tongues wagging.
Canadian and American leaders have really been upping the ante this week on trade. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick was slamming Canada's provincial bans on U.S. liquor as outrageous, insulting, and disrespectful to his country. And U.S. Trade Representative was also warning that the Americans could take action over the booze boycott. Now, the Prime Minister did hit back, saying the ban on booze can be resolved quickly if the U.S. settles trade disputes. Manitoba had a boycott on U.S. alcohol since February of 2025. That continues to be there, and Premier Wab Kinew joins me right now. Hi, Premier. Welcome back to Power.
Thanks for having me back.
This week has been a lot of talk on what it could take to get CUSMA negotiations restarted. Now, you've been for that ban on American spirits and alcohol. Is there a world in which you think it might be worth considering that stance if talks can advance?
I think we've been very clear that what we want to see happen is to get all these tariffs lifted and the threat of tariffs to stop. So if Donald Trump quits it with the tariffs, probably one of the worst economic policies he's advanced, which is quite a list to be on the top of, I will say, then yeah, we'd look at bringing the American booze back. But for now, this is an effective card that we have at the negotiating table. And the fact that you have Trump's acolytes throwing their tantrums as they do, it tells you that it's working. So why would we stop something that's clearly working and having an effect? And driving some people that don't share our values a little wild.
So I just want to be clear, when you say if they remove the tariffs, that is something that you would consider removing the ban on American alcohol. Which tariffs?
All of them. 100% of the tariffs. No tariffs, no threat of tariffs. Then you can have the booze back.
Okay. Boom. Right? Which ones specifically? All of them. Take them all off. Then you can get your booze back. It's that simple. All of these tariffs are violations of our agreement. Remove them all. Stop breaking the law. Then you can get your booze back. No 75,000 words all around it. No ifs, no buts, no other. Just boom. Those are the terms. Right? Wab Kinew is basically doing to Americans what Americans are trying to do to us, giving them a taste of their own medicine here. But it just lands. You can see the host is a little he needs a couple seconds to process these answers because they're not the ones he's necessarily expecting here. Let's keep it going.
And in your mind, it's a 1-for-1. It's not a, and I only say this because, again, I think, Canadians understand it, and certainly, I understand why provinces like yourself has moved in this way, and we understand the economic threat that is coming from the United States. But what you're posing here is them removing tariffs on steel, aluminum, lumber, and autos.
Okay, I'm just going to stop here. Wab Kinew just can't stop smiling. He knows what he is doing here. Like this. He clearly knows that this is going to have this effect. You're like 1-for-1? Really? You think? It's like, yeah. Stutter? And he's just like, he seems amused that the journalist is slightly bewildered.
Exchange for that one concession on American alcohol. Is that what I'm understanding?
100%. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. All of that is worth the booze. Yes, because all of it's illegal and shouldn't be there in the first place. Yep. Boom.
So I guess my follow-up here is the fact that so much of our investment into this country from other allies really does sort of hinge on access through CUSMA. So do you think it does make sense for us to prevent getting a trade deal just because we think it makes sense to continue this ban? It almost seems like, we know that it works and we see that it is effective because it is getting their attention. But do you think that it makes enough sense that it could be hindering our ability to get back to the table here?
I don't know. Maybe we should up the ante. Maybe we should say that they need to release the Epstein files, and then we'll remove the booze ban. Donald Trump obviously does not like talking about the Epstein files because he's mentioned in there so often, and he does very erratic things to try and change the channel whenever the domestic pressure is growing on it. So maybe we should put that on the table and then say that that's when the booze will come back, when they release the rest of the Epstein files. So we're in a negotiation. There's a lot of bluster, a lot of heat, a lot of tough talk coming from the American side. We have a card that works with these booze bans. I don't think we should give it up. We should play our cards right.
Okay, wait for this.
Okay, with respect, I don't think we have control over that other thing that you said to include and up the ante, but
that other thing. That other thing. Yeah, that Epstein thing. Wab Kinew. It's like, yeah. Go into that room and say, you need to take off all those things. Then we'll put on the booze. Like, all of them? Because, those are tariffs on a whole lot of things. We're bringing in, like, billions and billions of dollars. The booze is worth that much? Yep. They broke the law. Well, you think we should sacrifice everything? Oh, God, no. We should even up the ante. We should put the Epstein files things on. While we're at it, let's just say, go out and commit political suicide for us. Right? Because that's what Donald Trump is asking. Give me all these pre-concessions. Give me everything I want and you get nothing. Then go back home and try to sell that. and remain in your job. Okay, since we're asking each other to commit political suicide, hey, Donald Trump, we'll sign that deal if you release the Epstein files. That'll be the end of you. But hey, there'll be a deal with your name on it afterwards. How's that? How's that for legacy? It's just, damn. Wab Kinew. Could you imagine going into that room and saying, well, okay, now you've dicked us around for a full year and you've wasted our time. So now our ask is different. Because you see, the situation has changed. You're stuck in a war in Iran that you can't get out of, and you don't have any steel and aluminium at the moment. Those fertilizers are not coming. You got planting season coming on, and we happen to have all the potash. There's a oil glut. Fortunately, most of the oil that you used is our oil that we shop down there. Most of the oil that you sell, however, you might have difficulty getting it out there. But at least oil for your own use is ours. It would sure be a shame if we suddenly agreed that we didn't have anything that you needed. Well, very little oil is being shipped around the world, and there are 10 million barrels per day missing out of circulation than what normally should be the case at this particular time. Maybe. See, I think the one thing that the United States doesn't understand here is that they can do all the things that they want to us. But when I talked recently about legitimacy and credibility, the reason for which Mark Carney can stand at a podium and say that we're not taking notes here from the United States. This is a negotiation. Well, the negotiation, the United States says you got to give up something. It's like, that's a negotiation. That's a position. We have our position. The starting position from the United States is always completely and totally unreasonable. And just look at around, they want a complete and total surrender. How well did that work out for them? We're in the 8th week of that. Canada's kind of getting a message or two or learning a lesson or two from Iran that the United States moves a lot of wind. But not that great on the follow-up. We have a prime minister that understands the bond market, that has credibility and legitimacy, and also has convening power, as we are learning by the Summit on Global Finance that he is going to coordinate here. As we have seen after his Davos speech, as we have seen, as there is a critical group of countries coming together to create an alternative to China as the sole refiner of critical minerals, or the go-to refiner of critical minerals in the world. Bringing CPTPP and the CETA groups together, creating a group of countries that are willing to engage in variable geometry, as he calls it, in order to create a group of people, group of countries that do like rules and order when it comes to trading. People that have realized that, yes, while the United States is 25% of the world's GDP, everyone else combined is 75%. And maybe if we do more trade together, we can calm the bully down a bit. That man who understands the bond market, who's been central banker twice, gotten nations out of big crises, who has the respect of the world, simply needs to place 2 or 3 phone calls and say, guys, are we doing this? And some coordinated selling of U.S. debt and bonds and treasuries could have a very quick impact on the stock market. and perhaps even a few credit ratings. The fact that also money is moving away from defense. We're not the only people doing that. Kids and Cups, the Prime Minister has mentioned several times about 70 cents of every Canadian dollar going to the United States on defense. And, well, you know, maybe we do not want to do that anymore. Sorry here, Kits and Cubs. I'm trying to get the comment off the bottom of the screen here, and it is not working here. Oh, okay, I might be able to do it now. All right, there we go. So yeah, we have that card in our back pocket at any given time because the rest of the world is tired of his crap too. I have, after what happened to the Prime Minister of Japan when she was last in the Oval Office, I have no problem believing that, you know, if Mark Carney gave a call and said, so we doing this? She would go, yeah, I'm down. Prime Minister of Italy doesn't seem to have much love for Donald Trump. The German Chancellor doesn't at the moment. Donald Trump is actually trying to get some consequences on Spain, even though they're not a G7 nation. Wants to try to get them banned from NATO. Somehow convince the other nations to do that. Probably not going to happen for him either. But yeah, Wab Kinew. Just saying it. Let's continue on here and see how we, because again, Mike Lecouteur doesn't quite seem to believe it and doesn't want to actually say the word Epstein when you're talking about the other thing. But let's go see what how Mr. Kinew once again indicates that he did not stutter when he said this.
I don't think we should give it up. We should play our cards right.
Okay, with respect, I don't think we have control over that other thing that you said to include and up the ante, but I'm going to leave that there for...
Why not? And why are we afraid to talk about it? It's this crazy thing that everyone knows the Americans are afraid of. Their president is afraid of. So let's just say what it is. The president is mentioned in the Epstein files a huge amount of times. His government continues to conceal them. And so why don't we just say that we're going to drive a hard bargain until they release the rest of the files? If they want to talk tough about 51st state, they want to have their secretaries go into congressional hearings and throw various tantrums, then we should just hit them where it hurts, hit them where they don't want to respond.
Premier, I want to ask you about one of the major projects that you've been discussing with Ottawa. You had said that the federal government has hinted that it wants liquefied natural gas to be shipped.
And now Wab Kinew's reaction as Mr. Lecouteur moves to another topic. And if you think that Mr. Kinew was stuttering, even after all of that, if you somehow believe he was stuttering, this is Mr. Kinew on Live with Rosie Barton. Got a couple of clips here for you with regard to that. Oh, it seems I've gone slightly fuzzy. So let's bring myself back to regular definition here. There we go. Ah, there we go. That's better. Much more smooth, isn't it? All right. This is Mr. Kinew. A couple of excerpts from his time with Rosemary Barton on her show. And again, like I said, not stuttering, stammering, hesitating. He clearly means this. This is clearly a
With tariffs,
strategy. Here.
you have an erratic president who's fully committed to a terrible trade policy, and now the prime minister of our country has to find a path forward to protecting our economy and growing our jobs while also being mindful of a very, very sensitive ego in the White House office. And so, you know, the prime minister has my support. First and foremost, this is about Manitoba jobs. And when Americans threaten our jobs with tariffs, we're going to send that message. We're not going to sell your alcohol. And we're sorry if that harms hardworking Americans out there. But you know what to do when it comes time to vote in the midterms or comes time to vote for president again. You know, throw the bums out, as the saying used to go.
So, Wab Kinew also, in this particular instance, making a direct appeal to the American people in there, saying, we're sorry that this may be hurting some of you individually. Very sorry about that. However, you know what you got to do. You have some midterms coming up. Maybe you would like to get rid of that guy because it's him. It's because of him that this is happening. Another little moment from his interview with Rosemary Barton.
Well, I think we should demand the release of the Epstein files. Donald Trump clearly doesn't like them. He always does something pretty wild anytime the Epstein files come up. So I'm just floating this as an idea to put the Americans on the back foot, the American administration anyways. Let's demand the release of the Epstein files. Something tells me that they won't be talking a lot of tough talk about our country if we put the conversation there.
The way that Mr. Kinew is just sort of like throwing it out there, like, and yeah, while we're doing it, like, let's just throw that on the pile too. Yeah. He clearly is fed up and has no F's left to give. He's channeling what a lot of Canadians are thinking here. Sorry, I got a case of the hiccups here. Again, he is pressed on this by Rosemary Barton, of course. And again, Mr. Kinew does not back down here. Basically, why is he the only one that gets to make outrageous things?
Oh, well, what was the 51st state talk or the Greenland talk, right? It's just made up bluster. So if we're in a game of talking trash, then why doesn't Trump release the Epstein files? What is he hiding? If they release the Epstein files, then maybe we'll put the American booze back on the shelves.
Again, Mr. Kinew, not stuttering. He has the ability to say this. Again, if we're doing the good cop, bad cop thing, we've seen Doug Ford's version of it. This is Wab Kinew's version of it. So yeah. Shots fired, man. Not sure how well that's going to go down if someone hears it. I'm pretty sure that the prime minister won't do it. That would be something a little wild, but and like I said, he doesn't need to do it because he understands how the bond market works. But I don't know. However, it's even though I know, it was sort of like that Doug Ford ad. Even though we knew nothing good would come of it, the fact that was Ronald Reagan's words being used to slap him down, and that the ad was well done. There was sort of like yeah, this is going to hurt us, but it's going to be so fucking worth it. Right? This has a little bit of that to it. That's the type of populist stuff that has people at home going, yeah, we should do that. Fuck them. Right? But of course, that probably would not go well. That would probably would not go well. But there probably is an angle somebody could turn around and say, well, if there are any Canadians that happen to be involved, we would like to be able to know about that so that we could pursue them to the fullest extent of our law. So if you're not going to make them all public, could you make everything public related to Canadians? And that might open up a can of worms. Right? We had an episode a couple of months, about a month ago or two, saying Epstein goes global. And we found out that several nations, based on what was discovered in the latest dump at the time, found out that there were certain things going on with certain of their nationals and decided to open their own investigations because the United States wasn't particularly forthcoming. So maybe if all the nations that have some of their nationals mentioned in there all opened their own investigations, we'll find out a whole lot more. And maybe some of those, what's that word? Interconnective threads between some of the players and Donald Trump personally would reveal more. Let's just say, because we like to help. Maybe, but yes. If there's a Canadian we need to know, I think I know who it is. Like I said, I don't know if there are, but that could be a way in. Fine, you won't release them all, at least. Then let us know who's that, if there are any Canadians on the list, because we would like to put our justice system to work. You never know. So yeah. Shots fired at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and shots fired here in Canada. Shots of a different kind from Premier Wab Kinew over the bow. Over here. Premier Wab Kinew also in the news for a couple of other things, kids, that is happening in Manitoba. One of them has to do with access to online, for ability to access online content for younger Canadians or younger Manitobans in this particular case here, according to Lauren Scott of CBC Manitoba. It seems that let's see, this is a perspective here more from youth that would be affected here by the decision. But it says here, some Manitoba youth say an outright ban on social media and artificial intelligence chatbot use for youth may be a step too far after Premier Wab Kinew announced the province's intention to restrict children and teens from accessing them. Kinew floated the first in Canada ban at a fundraising event in Winnipeg on Saturday, saying the proposed law would protect youth from the potentially harmful and addictive effects of social media. Quote, these platforms are not neutral. They have been built this way to maximize engagement, Kinew said at the event. They amplify comparisons between yourself and artificial standards. They amplify outrage and they expose kids to content they are not ready for. While Saturday's announcement didn't specify which age range would fall under the proposed ban, Kinew told CBC's Rosemary Barton that it would apply to youth aged 16 and under. And since we were showing you clips of Mr. Kinew on Rosemary Barton, there was one more of him that was dealing specific with this issue. So we will bring it to you.
Yeah, well, I think it's really important for the mental health of young people and just the freedom for young people to be kids while they're growing up. You know, you have these massive tech oligarchs who have made themselves unprecedentedly rich by giving preteen girls body issues and exposing young people to human trafficking and putting toxic content in front of young preteen boys' minds. Like, it's a shameful way to make a living. And most importantly to us in Manitoba, it's a real travesty in terms of what should be the prime years of helping the young brain grow so that they can be the great Canadians we want them to be in the future. So we're just going to simplify things. I think it'll help parents too, who are probably spending a lot of heartburn and stress trying to navigate these issues with their parents. If maybe mom and dad don't have to be the bad guy, they could just point the finger at the premier and say it's his fault. I'm happy if that helps the average family out there. And then just when it comes to implementation, we'll be working over the next few months with families and teachers in the province just to make sure that we get the message out. To be absolutely clear, the accountability is not to be on the parents or the family or the kid. The accountability will rest on the big tech platforms. When it comes to parents and kids, our approach will be education. But when it comes to the accountability and living up to this ask, that's where we'll be going to the big tech platforms, most of whom are American.
So there you go. Wab Kinew giving a little bit of additional detail on his plan there. The article goes on to say Gabriel Tapper Goldsman, 15, doesn't agree. He said banning social media on AI chatbots for some youth will, quote, only bring Manitoba down. He said connecting with faraway friends from across Canada and the United States via social media helped him get through the COVID-19 pandemic. Quote, we're in a day and an age where we make friends all over the world, and one of the most important and vital things is to keep contact with those friends, Tapper Goldsman said. He said it would be unfair for some Canadian kids to have access to social media and AI chatbots while others don't. He said losing access could make it harder for Manitoba youth to get ahead in an AI-driven future. However, Tapper Goldsman said he supports restricting access for children under the age of 12 or 13. Quote, I feel like there should be age restrictions on it, but not as far as the length the Premier wants to go. I feel like he's taking it a step too far, he said. 16-year-old Lily Wassing said she's all for banning kids from using AI chatbots, but blocking social media for her cohort could make it harder for teens to connect. Quote, I wholeheartedly agree with AI chatbots, Wassman said, raising concerns about people who rely heavily on AI for simple tasks. For the social media thing, I agree to a point. There are definitely some things on social media that younger people should not be exposed to, but I think if they were to ban it, it would be better for 13 and under, maybe, she said. Adding time restrictions could also be a useful tool to limit scrolling. Not having access to social media would make it hard to plan group projects or connect with teammates, she said, but she also said cutting out social media could make her life a lot less stressful. Yelizaveta Savchenko, 16, said using social media extensively can have negative consequences, but she's not in favor of an all-out ban. Quote, a lot of them are bad when it's used extensively, but it could also be that AI and social media could also be very, very useful for our age, she said. Savchenko said she's supporting banning ChatGPT for her age group, but said artificial intelligence tools like Turbo AI and Astro AI can help youth get ahead in their studies. Not everything deserves to be banned, I think, she said. Manitoba's intention to ban social media and AI chatbot use comes several months after Australia enacted the world's first social media ban for children under 16. Parent Carrie Bacon, who has followed news about Australia's ban, said she was, quote, super excited to hear about Manitoba's plan, calling the move, quote, a step that the province needs to take. Kids shouldn't be exposed to many of the things that they are, said Bacon. I feel like their childhood has been kind of stolen by social media and screens. Noor Hamdam said she also supports a social media ban. She's hopeful that the measure could help parents keep their kids safe and reduce screen time in the process. Her son, Case Abul Jabal, 10, thinks it's a good idea to ban AI chatbots. They're wasting too much water and harming the environment, he says. Quote, I think it's weird to be talking to artificial intelligence. There's 8 billion people in the world. You could go outside to talk with your friends instead of talking with AI out of the mouth of children. But blocking some kids from social media could make it hard to connect with loved ones who live far away, he said. He said kids aged 10 and up should be allowed to use the platforms. Interesting how when you go down the age range, not sure what's happening here. Oh, there we go. Okay, my screen's okay. Interesting how when you go down the age range, every age range thinks that it should be banned or limited for the age just sort of under them. Interesting, eh? But also interesting how everybody can make some really great arguments. You have a 10-year-old talking about the environmental consequences, in particular water usage requirements of the data centers that are recommended, that are required to power all this AI. The kids are all right, man. uh, the kids know a lot more than they're often given credit for. Yeah. But yeah, Wab Kinew doing that, and of course, Wab Kinew also pushing very strongly for some development with the port of Churchill as well over the course. Well, not just there had been some developments on that front as well. Kits and Cubs. It seems that the Prime Minister is seems to be very eager to move some of these projects ahead, according to Bartley Kives, also from CBC Manitoba, giving some analysis here, stating, sometime over the past 6 months, Premier Wab Kinew appears to have grown less optimistic about the prospects of Manitoba quickly shedding its have-not status. Last fall, Kinew claimed 3 pending Manitoba mega projects could wean this province off federal equalization payments within 10 years. Now he says only one of those projects is capable of transforming the provincial economy from one that requires an infusion of cash to one that could stand fully on its own within Confederation. That project happens to be the expansion of the Port of Churchill, which remains in the conceptual stage and requires more studies, engineering, environmental assessments, community consultations, and likely a major private investor before it can proceed. Speaking in Toronto in October, Kinew told the Empire Club of Canada that Manitoba was planning 3 energy projects that could generate $30 billion in new economic activity, a value equal to more than a third of the province's existing gross domestic product. One that we're almost certainly going to do, a second that we're trying to put the financing piece together, and the third, which has been very public, which is the Port of Churchill, Kinew told podcaster and former federal Liberal advisor David Hurley at the Empire Club event. Quote, if we build the 3 out of those out to the full extent, then Manitoba can become a have province and not like 40 years into the future, like within the next 5 to 10 type of thing. At the time, Kinew declined to identify the 2 other energy projects. During question period on Monday, Kinew identified 2 other projects as Manitoba's Hydro $3 billion plan to build a trio of $250 megawatt natural gas turbines in Brandon by 2029 and a 600 megawatt series of wind farms Hydro is asking new Indigenous-led companies to build by 2035. Both the gas turbines and wind farms are previously announced projects. The only new information Kinew offered about them on Monday was that the wind farms would be built in western Manitoba. CBC News asked Kinew on Friday if these 3 particular projects are capable of weaning Manitoba off equalization payments. Quote, the Churchill one would be if we do that, Kinew said in Lockport. The combustion turbines, the wind projects, that's baked into our existing trajectory of that diversified economic growth that we are used to in Manitoba. The Port of Churchill expansion would fit the bill, Kinew said, provided the province manages to figure out how to build a natural gas pipeline over hundreds of kilometers of muskeg, erect an LNG terminal on Hudson Bay, and move liquefied natural gas through the bay's often ice-choked waters within 4 years, and obtain all the regulatory approvals to do so in that time frame, not to mention find the cash to make it all happen. Quote, if we get private sector investment and we can deliver on the Prime Minister's timeline of LNG out of Churchill by 2030, that takes us to a whole new level of economic growth, Kinew said. You're talking about 10 billion, 20 billion, 30 billion worth of investment, so that would be huge. It's fair to say that this is an extremely ambitious timeline for a near unprecedented feat of engineering. In the 1970s, it took 9 years to plan and build the 1,300-kilometer Alaska pipeline, which carries oil from the United States North Slope to the ice-free Gulf of Alaska. The cost of that project was US $8 billion, or something close to $44 billion today. More recently, it took 12 years and Canadian $34 billion to plan and build the 1,180-kilometer Trans Mountain pipeline expansion to carry for oil from Alberta to the Pacific Ocean. It also took 13 years to build the 670-kilometer liquefied natural gas pipeline from Dawson Creek, BC to Kitimat, at a cost of $15 billion for the pipeline and $18 billion for the LNG terminal at the end of the Douglas Channel, a protected waterway connected to the Pacific. There does not appear to be a protected harbor to place a new and expanded port on Hudson Bay. The construction of an artificial barrier to protect an LNG port from the elements should this project proceed would drive up engineering and construction costs. All of this is to say that the Port of Churchill expansion faces many hurdles to clear in terms of geography, engineering, regulatory approval, and financing. This means Kinew's push to transform Manitoba into a half-province hinges on a very difficult Port of Churchill expansion, especially since the Premier says a trio of gas turbines in Brandon and several wind farms won't transform the provincial economy. In the long term, Canada's Parliamentary Budget Office doesn't envision fantastic economic fortunes for Manitoba. The PBO expects Manitoba's net debt to outgrow its gross domestic product for many decades to come, as it envisions poor fiscal sustainability for this province. It remains to be seen what, if anything, can be done to avoid this. So Wab Kinew getting a lot of press and a lot of attention, definitely doing a good job advocating for his province. No wonder here, in my mind, that he is so popular and has such high approval ratings. He's doing the job. He's doing the job well, and he's being seen doing the job well. And he appears to be a tireless advocate for the interests of his project, while also not sacrificing being a team player on Team Canada. Interestingly enough, coming back to the first story, since Wab Kinew was mentioning the Epstein files, it seems that the Epstein files also came up with regard to the shooting. It would seem that Donald Trump won 60 Minutes, and 60 host Nora O'Donnell had asked him about it, I guess, indirectly, because the shooter, or the wannabe shooter, had mentioned or referred to it in his manifesto. According to Politico's Ellie Stockles, President at CBC News' Nora O'Donnell, in an interview Sunday for quoting from the manifesto of the suspected gunman who tried to storm the White House Correspondents' Dinner less than 24 hours earlier. Trump had initially expressed a sense of camaraderie with members of the press corps who hosted him at their annual dinner and experienced the same initial panic when armed law enforcement agents stormed into the ballroom. But when O'Donnell, during an interview recorded at the White House on Sunday, quoted from the accused gunman's apparent manifesto, quote, "I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes," she read. Trump, who had been relatively subdued in his responses, flashed a familiar anger. I've got a clip here of it, taken from a news report on CNN. I do not know if we will get a copyright ding for this one, but it is quite possible that we do. So I will play it, and hopefully the ding will not happen. And I do not know why it just disappeared from my screen. Hold on, I need to bring it back up. There we go. And I will also afterwards read what it is that has been stated in case we do get the copyright ding. At least it will have been read into the record. So apologizing in advance for the duplication here. But just trying to, I guess, have a pre-contingency plan for something that could not go right here. All right. So lining it up here for you. Okay. There might be a little bit of introduction here to the clip going on when I started, because I don't think I was able to time it exactly right. But here we go, kids and cubs. A little bit of the moment between Nora O'Donnell and Donald Trump that created some attention here.
Traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're You're horrible people. Horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Oh,
I'm not a
do you think he was
pedophile.
referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. You should be ashamed of yourself reading that, because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and I
these
was
are the
never,
gunman's words.
excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace.
So, yeah, someone is a little sensitive, it would seem. Again, just in the context of Premier Wab Kinew's comments, could you imagine what would happen if we did put that on the table? Ooh, man. He didn't take that very well. And, of course, like Nordonald's, oh, you think he was talking about you? Yeah, right. Oh, I'm talking about someone. I won't tell you who I'm talking about, but he's, if you get a sketch artist here, I can describe him to you. Nobody will ever know who he is. Oh man, I tell you. All right, Kits and Cubs. A couple of other things over the course, since we're talking about shots. Of course, with the another thing, right, with the White House Correspondents' Dinner was like, because a lot of people thought it was fake. You had some dark humor jokes coming along, like uh, like shots were fired at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and it wasn't because Kash Patel and PK Seth were at the bar yelling "shots, shots, shots." Or not shots were fired, but everybody ducked under the table. Again, listen, it's not funny that the mood in the United States has gotten so toxic that people feel that they need to engage in vigilantism of this kind. Right? It's not funny that someone came in and wanted to do harm. And it is concerning. Like, even like I'm catching myself, right? It's concerning that we seem to be so tired of the constant BS that we get from that side of the political spectrum, and particularly that side of the border, that we're just not inclined to be sympathetic. And even some people, there are a lot of people out there that believe that should the worst actually happen in a situation like that, and the president was fatally wounded, that would have, well, he had it coming. And that would be the extent of the emotion, not understanding the full significance, right? Or not appreciating, at least in the moment. This is extremely concerning with all the dark humor and the laughing and the skepticism. If we stop and we think about this for a second, this is the third or fourth time now that someone has wanted to come after if not the president itself, someone, or disrupt an event in that way. 5 if we include in January 6th. This keeps on seeming to happen to him. And he was asked directly about that. Why does this keep happening to you? And basically, came up to this thing like, when you're a person of impact who matters, because they want to do that to you. Of course, the slight undertone is they don't want to kill all presidents. Nobody tried to kill Obama, so I guess he wasn't impactful. It didn't matter. Of course, Donald Trump not realizing that he's using impactful in the same way that our prime minister used transformational. Yeah, you've been impactful, buddy. Not necessarily for the better. See, it's not just about being impactful, but how you're impactful. Maybe the how it is that you've been impactful has something to do with the reason that this seems to keep on happening to you. It's not exactly as you've it's not as exactly as you've fostered a culture of lollipops, rainbows, sparkles, and unicorns. Just say. And of course, bragging about his crowd size. Somewhere along there. Biggest crowd we ever got for a White House Correspondents dinner. Biggest crowd. Right. Back home, had some cheap shots. Had Pierre Poilievre out there doing some press stuff. A lot of people, again, wondering for whose benefit. Out there in an empty concrete lot with 2 of his seals behind him. And seemingly no one around. Also being on certain news shows, making certain comments that a lot of people have found interesting. You have to understand here, kids and cubs, that the context of these comments from Pierre Poilievre are now coming from a man who basically not only blew a lead, lost his seat, lost the election, then lost 4 MPs, but then gift wrapped and handed a majority to his political himself and his party back into the same position of utter political irrelevance it has been since Stephen Harper left in the first parliament, they were a minority, and the other 2 parliaments, the way that the votes fell, that even though they had good results in terms of an opposition hall, they always needed 2 parties to help them pass something if they wanted to take on the government. And well, since they don't play nice with anyone, finding just 1 party to help them was hard enough. 2, damn near impossible. And then we got to this parliament where they were a little more relevant because, the Bloc Québécois and the Conservative vote together alone would have been enough to topple the government. However, Pierre decided to parlay this sudden bout of influence that the Conservatives could have within Parliament. He decided to parlay that into utter irrelevance by handing the government a majority. By being such a dick and so terrible at his job and so terrible to his caucus that people left and that the party's vote cratered in by-elections. So if Pierre Poilievre does intend to stay and if he's going to be allowed to remain, he needs to go back to the same thing he was doing to Justin Trudeau, basically bad-mouthing him for 2 straight years. Everything he does is wrong. Everything he does is terrible. I'm so right. I'm so perfect. I'm so wonderful. Bash, 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 punch, punch, punch. And hopefully after 2 years of tenderizing Mark Carney, during which he'll probably make a mistake or 2 along the way, and then Pierre Poilievre could put on his, look into his crystal ball and say, see, I predicted he would screw up because, well, everybody does eventually. See, I told you he was a fuck up. that he needs to go back there. So everything he says from now on is strictly to try to maintain that base that he's been trying to accumulate, hoping that that base will stay with him for the next 3 years. Again, assuming that he gets to stay.
And
do not
Carney
know
benefits from
why.
that, while single events
Okay.
like the one that Prime Minister's company uses. You know, I find it interesting. Mark Carney's company, which he still owns, Brookfield, has been called the biggest tax dodger in Canada, and Carney benefits from that. While single mothers, small businesses, and seniors are forced to pay higher taxes at the pump. I think Mark Carney can afford to pay his taxes. Who can't afford to pay are the people that he has been driving costs on, and that's our consumers.
Okay. So he's just making it up as he goes along. I'm sorry for the kits. For some reason, I was clicking on the pause button repeatedly, and it was not connecting. So I just decided to let it run and not fight with it. But apparently, Pierre Poilievre now believes that, or wants us to believe that Brookfield is Mark Carney's company, and that he still owns it. Not that he was the chair of the board and had some shares, but that it's his company and he owns it. He's just making stuff up. He also looks tired. Then he was on CB24 and being asked about 4 crossings and turning around. Yeah, that's another example of Mark Carney's unethical behavior. It's not an example of Mark Carney's unethical behavior that people want to leave your party. And of course, still not admitting that he lost. He's not able to cope at all. He's asked to. Let me just show this clip again. To you, kids and cubs. It's just 22 seconds. But again, him not being willing to admit in any way, shape, or form that something was wrong, and still, after all this time, polishing the shiniest silver medal in Canadian political history.
It's been a while since we've had a chance to talk. I do have to ask you this because, you know, there are some supporters who say you fumbled the election. So I have to ask you about that, as well as the floor process.
By fumbling, you mean getting an extra 2.5 million votes, getting the biggest vote count in Canadian history. That's more liberal spin. And of course, we're getting a lot of that from the liberal media.
So again,
it's been a while since we've had a chance to talk.
Pierre Poilievre also wants you to believe a liberal media in Canada. Yeah. Read any of the over 100 publications, print publications in Canada owned by Chatham Asset Management Group that are all sending the same perspective and message your way, and come and tell me that we have a liberal media in this country and that this man is so hard done by. Yeah, he just can't stop. Says Nona Carol. Yep, indeed. So Pierre is out there, you know, taking little pot shots back from his realm of utter irrelevance. He can't influence any votes anymore. He's going to lose his influence on committee. So not the best day for him. Not the best weekend. Pierre Poilievre still clearly working out his feelings and emotions about, well, being a loser, for all intents and purposes, out in public, rather than, again, doing that work like a grown-up somewhere. I'll also being a another complete dick in that um, in the Pierre Poilievre way when he thinks that he's being really clever, um, or that he's landed a good one. Lord help us. Because, as you know, kits and cubs, tomorrow the federal government is going, or at least the Minister of Finance, is going to um, release the spring economic statement. And it is suspected that the statement might be better than some would expect. Projected to come in with a deficit of $65 billion this year. It would seem that with a combination of things, such as the fact that um, the economy has been a little more resilient than first thought, that we have higher revenue coming in, probably because of the oil royalties, and that there has been some delayed spending. When you put it all together, that might mean the deficit number is smaller. We have added some additional spending, however, those GST increases for food and the recently announced excise tax were not planned when the budget was tabled. I'm not sure if those came from contingency funds or that those are actually just new money. So if you took those amounts out, if they are indeed new money, that deficit number would have been smaller. May also explain why it is that the Prime Minister only did the excise tax on jet fuel, diesel, and gas, and only the excise tax, and only until October, so that he did, so that he could still record um, a number that might show a smaller deficit number, which of course the government will take and spin as a prudent fiscal management. Probably has more to do with the additional royalties and the world going to hell in a handbasket than prudent fiscal management at this point. Don't think the government has been in office long enough for any fiscal prudence. Fiscal prudent management policies to have taken effect in such a way that sharp results in the billions and billions of dollars could be popping up about 6 months after the budget was tabled, and a few shorter months yet since the main estimates were completely passed. However, that is going to be released, and you had Pierre Poilievre snarking about the Prime Minister's spending, of course, allegedly, because according to Pierre Poilievre, who, if you look at his own numbers specifically, spends quite a lot. If you look how the party spends all the money that it raises when it comes to election campaigns for the results it gets. There is no doubt that over the recent times, conservatives have established, if one is paying attention, a very solid reputation for spending a lot of money and getting very little from it. How many elections in a row? Has it been since they've been the party that rakes in the most money and spends the most money and still can't get the ball over the line? The same. Here is, whoops, once again, the wrong screen. I do not like this new system. Pierre Poilievre at another press conference taking another pot shot. And here, look at, it's not the pot shot, it's the validation that he needs afterwards. That struck me. again. I hope that showed. Please tell me, kits and cubs. I have no idea. I came back to the screen, and what I thought would be there was not. Darn, I'm really not liking this new thing. I can never know what is showing up or not on screen, which is really weird as I'm showing it. That's why we've been having all these moments lately of um, sound that gets played with nothing there. And nope, I'm looking back and I see that it did not show. So once again, kits and cubs, I am sorry, but let's see if this works.
We all thought that it was impossible for anyone to spend more recklessly than Liberal Justin Trudeau. And then along came Mark Carney and said, "Hold my champagne."
A quick follow, just on the topic of your shadow cap.
We all thought that.
Okay. So now I know you've seen it. He thought hold my champagne rather than hold my beer was so clever. So clever. And then looked back to get the validation of the congregation of clapping seals he brought behind him. Oh my God. You're right, Kid Saucy. The blue suit, the color does suit him. But yeah. Oh my God. You were talking about somebody else because I see you were talking about the World Cup before. So maybe you're talking about somebody else who is wearing blue color. But yeah, right. The forced laughter behind him. It's almost like he's having that Jeb moment. Please clap. Hold my champagne. Please laugh. Were you laughing? That was good? Did I do that right? Yeah. Okay. It's like, oh my God. This guy, he needs to resign, man. He needs to resign. He's done. Millhouse being Millhouse. Indeed. Kits and cubs, indeed. All right. Also, kits and cubs. So cheap shots and pot shots. There were plenty. There was also some good shots. However, one of the good shots, and this is going to hurt Pierre Poilievre, it appears that the government has indeed approved a pipeline. Kits and cubs. Pierre Poilievre has been going around saying no projects have been approved, no pipelines, no nothing. We can't say that anymore. Kits and cubs, because it would seem that there's about $4 billion project for a pipeline that has been approved. Ottawa has approved the Enbridge West Coast LNG Network's Sunshine expansion project in British Columbia. It will add about 139 kilometers from about Fort Nelson to the U.S. border, thanks to building 11 twinning segments to existing infrastructure, which will allow to carry 8.5 cubic meters per day of LNG per day. 8.5 cubic meters? I hope I noted that number correctly. It's expected to bring in about $700 million in provincial and federal tax revenue over decades, with 2,500 jobs to build. The price tag is about $4 billion. The goal is to increase the capacity of the network to meet the province's future energy needs and capacity to export to Asian markets as export terminals open. Energy regulators recommended it with 47 conditions to protect the environment, to ensure safety, and to secure Indigenous participation. And the work should start this summer, and it's expected to come into service by the end of 2028. So this year, we will have work on this pipeline expansion project and the Mackenzie Valley Highway and the Port of Contrecoeur expansion that the Prime Minister and the Liberals will be able to point to as big projects that actually do have some shovels in the ground. It seems that this is a deal that also involves, as we mentioned, First Nation participation and involvement, according to Minister Hodgson, of 38 different First Nations groups in this project, which is indeed very encouraging, because we definitely need more of that and more Indigenous participation in business. Let's see what else have we got here. I'm just taking a look at the announcement. There's the article. It comes from Lauren Krugel of the Canadian Press, and it says here. One executive says the move demonstrates a greater, quote, sense of purpose from Ottawa towards bolstering Canada's status as a global energy exporter, as it says here. So I don't know where I got 8.5 cubic feet. That was wrong. So I knew I had misnoted that. The Sunrise project would add 300 million cubic feet per day of transportation capacity on Enbridge's 3.6 billion cubic feet per day West Coast system, which connects gas fields in northeastern BC and northwestern Alberta to Canada and the US border. I knew that 8.5 was wrong. The project involves adding almost 140 kilometers of new pipe by constructing 11 looping segments parallel to the existing line. So as we mentioned here, quote, the gas that would flow through the expanded line is not bound for any particular destination, but some of the capacity will no doubt go offshore, Matthew Ackham, who leads Enbridge's gas transmission and midstream business, told reporters on Friday. Sunrise was not reviewed under federal legislation passed last year meant to speed along new infrastructure deemed in Canada's national interest. Nonetheless, Ackham said he appreciates the improved tone under Prime Minister Mark Carney's Liberal government. Quote, there's more of a sense of purpose and an intent and prioritization, which is what we need to see in Canada. Going forward, though, I think we all need to work more closely together to make this even faster. And there are ways to have just as rigorous a consultation progress, just as rigorous an environmental review process and community engagement process, but do it faster. We've been at this project almost 4 years already and still don't have a shovel in the ground. The approval is part of the government's effort to get more projects moving and faster, said Natural Resource Minister Tim Hodgson during a speech in Toronto on Friday. Quote, for too long we became accustomed to mistaking delay for seriousness, but seriousness is not measured by how long a country takes to make decisions. It is measured by whether those decisions are thoughtful, credible, and made in a time frame that actually matters to the proponent. He said the Sunshine Project will provide more supply for heating buildings, provide gas for electric power generation, and industrial and manufacturing processes, as well as ensure enough supply of LNG. The process will add more than $3 billion to Canada's GDP and create some 2,500 jobs at peak construction, said Hodgson. He added that the government will be ushering more projects ahead to actually being built. By spring 2027, there will be not only more projects added to the Major Projects Office, but at least 5 to 10 new projects reaching a final investment decision or breaking ground. Canada is building again, he said. BC Premier David Eby said the expansion is good news for jobs in his province. Quote, at a time of uncertainty and global instability, this is how we create the prosperity needed to pay for the public services that make us all better off, he said in a news release. But Alex Walker, Energy Analytics Program Director with Environmental Defence Canada, called Ottawa's approval, quote, a disastrous climate decision that prioritizes fossil fuel industry growth over Canada's climate commitments. Construction on the pipeline is expected to begin this summer with startup targeted for late 2028. All of the soon-to-be-built space on the Sunrise project has been spoken for, Ackham said, noting the company is also expanding gas infrastructure in the northern part of British Columbia. Last year, Enbridge inked a partnership with an alliance of 36 First Nations in British Columbia for a 12.5% ownership stake in the existing West Coast pipeline. Ackham said those groups are not obligated to take on equity of the pipeline expansion, but have the option to do so. Ackham said there's opportunity to build even more gas pipeline capacity from scratch or by expanding existing infrastructure under the right conditions. One is to ensure a speedy review process because we can't tie capital up for forever doing these things. Another is to ensure Canadian investments can compete with projects being pursued in the United States, where Enbridge has a substantial presence and has been seeing better returns. Quote, we're a large company with investors all over the world, Ackham said, so if we see competitive returns on capital in British Columbia, then we can do any of those types of investments. While the expanded pipeline will help Canada meet the broader goal of reducing its reliance on the United States as a customer, it also helps position Canada as a necessary supplier to the United States. Quote, for a long time, the shale revolution in the United States was flooded with natural gas, and now we're starting to pick up again, where the United States is importing more from Canada and wants more from Canada, Sir Piro, a senior fellow and director of energy, natural resources, and environment at the Macdonald-Laurier Institute. They need more AI, they need more data centers, and they are exporting more LNG than they've ever exported, and we're talking about non-renewable resources. Jay Kosla, the Executive Director of Economic and Energy Policy with the Public Policy Forum and a former Assistant Deputy Minister in the Privy Council office, added that expanding Canada's export capacity could put it in a better position as it prepares to formally begin negotiations on the mandatory review of the Canada-US-Mexico Agreement. Quote, I know for a fact, and we've heard that the president is not really thrilled that we're supplying Chinese markets with our oil right now because he knows he needs all of that, Kosla said. Like, we give them pretty much 25% of their source supply. All of these moves are very, very helpful to give us some leverage, and we don't have a lot, let's be honest. Carney has promised to build big and build fast as he tries to shore up Canada's economy in the face of U.S. protectionism and tariffs. But approving a new pipeline is a complicated process fraught with political landmines and opposition from environment groups and many Indigenous communities. And yet, despite that, the Conservative Party of Canada thinks it should have been done already in the space of 1 year. While Exner-Pirot says the expansion itself isn't that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, she described Enbridge's $4 billion investment as table stakes. She sees this as an easy win for the Carney government because its natural gas in British Columbia isn't opposed to it. It's good that we'll have construction that's going to be very helpful for the BC economy, so it's absolutely not nothing, Exner-Pirot said. And there was Indigenous support, so a very easy thing for them to do and to say, quote, we are building and we are being an energy superpower. So, Ms. Exner-Pirot, a little more skeptical, but according to the BC Minister for Energy and Climate Solutions, Adrian Dix, he states that it is indeed a rather big deal for the province, not only because of it specifically in and of itself, but also because it unlocks, it has the potential to unlock other investments in the, as you know, they were having the whole issue between Alberta and British Columbia a couple of months ago about where the bitumen pipeline might pass. One of the sorry here, something going wrong here. Why is it doing this? One of the arguments that was being used by Premier David Eby is that by wanting to go through the specific waterway that Danielle Smith appeared to be insisting they go through, it was creating a situation where British Columbia could have lost very hard-won approval and buy-in from various communities for those projects that they had already planned. So here I'm going to present to you a little bit of a moment here between Adrian Dix and Rosemary Barton during that interview segment where he is talking about this indeed being a big deal and why it is that it can, or how it is that it is interact with other projects that they have got going on here. All right, so let me put this up for you. And all right, and hopefully it's showing on the screen. Just take a look. No, it does not indicate that it is. So let's try that again. There we go. And play it.
province. BC Energy and Climate Solutions Minister Ace joins me now. Nice to see you again, Minister. Great to be on the show, Rosemary. I want to talk about this particular announcement that came on Friday, the Sunrise Natural Gas Pipeline. How big a deal is this in terms of the LNG industry in BC? What does it mean? What does it change for the province?
It's a big deal for BC. It adds to our energy infrastructure. It ensures adequate supply of natural gas to a very important LNG project, which is the wood fiber LNG project, which will be the lowest emission LNG in the world when it comes online very shortly. It also supports overall infrastructure in BC, and there's a real link, and Enbridge has done an excellent job with BC communities, including with First Nations. So in every way, this builds out our infrastructure.
The figure that Minister Hodgson said was $700 million in federal and provincial tax revenue. Is that what you estimate as well, and how significant an amount is that?
Over decades, but it's also in the present 2,500 jobs, $4 billion worth of investment, and of course it unlocks other investment. We do this, we do the North Coast transmission line, and while that has significant investment in its own right, it also enables, in that case, mining projects and LNG projects and port projects and other projects. So these energy infrastructure program projects are really important to BC, and it really reflects our point of view, which is we're working on projects that are near final investment decisions and taking them over the line with excellent proponents, sometimes BC Hydro, which is the public, sometimes private proponents, but in every case really contributing to the economic life of the province.
How many more of those would you say are sort of nearing the finish line? Are we talking like half a dozen, or what kind of numbers are you talking about?
More than that. We've got LNG Canada 2 looking at final investment decision this year. Solicit's LNG looking at final investment decision this year. A joint venture between FortisS and the Musqueam First Nation slated for final investment decision this year. Dozens of mining projects, the North Coast transmission line slated for final investment decision. In short, these projects, tens of billions of dollars here in BC in investment, are going to help us lead Canada, I think, in terms of real projects that make a difference for us right now and really promote the resilience of our province and our country and its economic potential in the future.
So there you go. Adrian Dix not necessarily sharing the opinion that this is not a big deal. And here I see Kit Linda going, saying here, somehow that pipeline won't count as a success for the current government. Of course it won't. But of course, twinning certain pipelines and expanding their capacity is a much faster way to bring something online than having to build a whole new one with an export terminal from scratch. Adding 300 to 400 I think it is million barrels capacity with this one is definitely nothing to sneeze at. Let's just put it that way. All right. Let's see here. Okay, we've got all of that down, and there is a whole lot more kits and cubs. No doubt, but we have definitely been going on today. So I will, since we're talking about shots, I will save my last one for the Canadians who make us proud, because we have some success from our shot putters, kits and cubs as well. Lots to talk about. But for now, I will say that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us, because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring, and word of mouth is priceless. And your word of mouth in particular has incredible value, because when you share our content and let people know why it is you're sharing it, you've actually consumed it, and therefore if you happen to be an influencer in your own circle, which we all are in some ways, what you have to say really matters, and it helps get the word out. And we cannot buy that type of advertising, so thank you so very much. We really appreciate it. Now, kids and cubs, if you are wanting to support us in other ways, there are two ways you can do that. The first one is by scanning this QR code, which will bring you to our YouTube page, where you can smash with our buttons like, share, and subscribe. Please give them a click, because when you do, it helps us with the algorithm. And if you are able to give us some hype points. Some kids have told me that it's not only if you are on an Android phone, but also if you have an iPod phone. But if you're on your phone and you can give us a little hype points, those are designed to give a smaller audience channels like ours a bit of a boost. And we thank you for your help with that. Thank you. And if you are smashing, if you haven't smashed with our buttons, please do go and do that. And like I said, it helps us with the algorithm. It helps people find us. And we appreciate all of your support there. And if you would like to help us in another way, kids and cubs, you can by going to by making a contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund. Again, I don't know if the QR code has been fixed. So what I will do is I will put the link up for you. It's coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word. And if you go to there, Kits and Cubs, you will find the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, where you can leave a donation. And thank you, Miss Shadika, for letting me know that the link was not connecting. It kind of explains why it is that no tips had been coming through that platform for the last little while. was wondering why they had suddenly stopped. It may be because the QR code wasn't bringing everybody there. But thank you so much to all of you who have donated recently, especially for our show's birthday. Really happy that you did that. Miss Shadika and family said, to you, my favorite bee and bear, lots of love, hugs and kisses, hugs and kisses, hugs and kisses. And Mateo says 6'7". I love it. We also received a lovely enthusiastic expression from the original and the best, Kit Linda. Love. Happy birthday, guys. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to be with you for the past 6 years and watch how TNEB has evolved. Here's to another 6 years and beyond. Little bit of Buzz Lightyear going on. To the next 6 years and beyond. Thank you so much, Kit Linda, for that. Really appreciate that. And also a little shout out to Kit Joanne. Thank you so much as well for your support with the show, and a little celebration for our birthday, sending us a little expression of encouragement with, oops, where did it go? Kind word here. And you just get better and better. Oh, the flattery. Thank you so much, Kits and Cubs. Again, we can't do this without your support, and it really does mean the world to us. So whether you can donate via our coffee page, that's where the address is there. And if you are doing the Buy Canadian thing, Kits and Cubs, we got a way for you to help with that. You just need to do a bank transfer and direct it to our email, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. And we will put that up for you right here, Kits and Cubs. If you send us a direct bank transfer, it goes from your institution to ours, no service fees. We get 100% of your donation. And we also have the Super Chat memberships and other type of stuff on our YouTube page. I am going to try and see today, by the way, because we haven't done any members only content for a while, if I'm able to record a small sort of editorial or type thing today to put on for the members. And then might release it broader afterwards, a couple of days later or something like that, or maybe after 24 hours. But give members the first chance to see it and see if that works. Yeah, take a go at it. I wrote a little something and trying to see if I can find a way to deliver it that makes it look like I'm looking to the camera while I'm reading my text, because I don't have a teleprompter yet here, and without looking like I've got crazy eyes in the process. And actually not sure I'm actually going to be able to achieve that, to be totally honest, but I'm going to give it a go. There you go, kits and cubs. So all those ways that you can support us, really appreciate it. And thank you for the love, particularly for our birthday. All of you who said kind words and shared in our joy. We are very grateful for all of your support. And keep the love coming. Keep the money coming. Your queen says, P.S. Send money. But most of all, keep yourselves showing up every morning, because the gifts of your attention and participation are the ones that matter the most to us. And if you're not able to send money, well, then you need to send a contribution of another kind. Like, for example, letting us know what you think about the show, good, bad, or ugly, or maybe some guest suggestions, or maybe some photos of some yummy things that you have cooked with our Kids Who Cook hashtag, or some lovely creations, whether or not you've made some music. And Kit Hyperchi, I did listen to one of the two AI music creations, the one that sort of had a Latin sabor to it. Didn't understand all the words, but it had a great beat and I danced to it. So whatever it was, it moved me. I have to listen to the other one yet, though, still. And if you are, of course, so that's Kids Who Craft. And of course, if you're gardening, Kids Who Cultivate, please let us know what it is that you're doing with your gardens, and we can get some inspiration. And of course, all of your good news, because doom scrolling can get a little heavy. And when you send us some good news, that puts a little sunshine in our day and makes our job a whole lot better. We like to share in your joy, just like you like to share in ours. So please do send us your good news. And of course, so that email address, you could use it to send a direct donation, or you could use it to send your thoughts, but send us something. Or if you have questions about the show, right? Or questions about politics that you would like us to answer, or some suggestions for theme shows, or anything, all of that, just send us something. Just send us something. Communicate it with us. I feel like a mom going, call your beaver, write your beaver. Send me a letter now and then. Would it hurt you? What are you doing, Mr. Beaver? Nothing. Just sitting here in the dog, slowly waiting for a letter to come, going blind. Maybe guilt works. I don't know. Kids and cubs. All right. Because democracy is, on our socials too, if you want to reach us, at True Eager at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge, also on the Jitter, True North Eager Beaver on Facebook, our original home. We have our Substack called Beaver Bites. We have the Damn Fam Discord that Miss Saucy, the Sauce Boss, just put here in the chat that you can click on. And of course, Kit Uncover runs the Damn Fam or the show's Instagram. So lots of ways to be in communication with us. We read everything you send us, even though we're not able to answer everyone. And remember, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, right down here in the comment section, leave us a little something, okay? We want to hear from you. Because democracy is something that you do, well, the high-speed rail consultation is closed. There is that petition that Kit Kat sent me that I need to work into the show. I'm so sorry I'm not mentioning it today, but I will make a note of it. I'm so sorry. We had the protests this weekend in all throughout Ontario. Everyone who showed up, thank you for making some noise. Hopefully we'll have a little bit about that later in the week for you. But thank you for going out and doing democracy. That was very, very important. Remember, when it comes to the Ford administration, flood their emails, flood their phone lines, and ask for meetings for some performance review time. It might be time that's the way to get their attention. And remember, again, handwritten letters. Take the time for a handwritten letter. Those mean a lot. But everything that they're doing, their phone lines and emails should be flooded. at the moment. So let's get on that, Ontario. Let's see. So, and of course, if you're in British Columbia, of course, you have the BC Conservative leadership race underway, and your ballots should be coming in early May, I think around May 9th, and voting day is, or the results will be announced on May 30th. So for those of you who have membership in the party, please do cast your vote and pick someone decent. Please. All right, kids and cubs. That's all I got for the democracy, something that you do portion. So it's time for words of wisdom. And I'm not sure if I've got any for you. I am mourning the elimination of my beloved Ottawa Senators in a sweep of 4. So I guess I can say that, well, considering that at the end of January, the Senators were last in the division, and we did manage to get 4 playoff games, one of them that went to double overtime. That was very, very exciting. I guess I can choose to be sad that they got eliminated, or choose to be happy that we actually did get some playoff action that at the end of January we weren't expecting to get. So I'm going to choose the latter and say thank you for the memories, and hope that this means that you get into the playoffs again next year, that you are rebuilding, and that we will have more to cheer for. And remember, Ottawa Senators, even though you didn't win one of the 4 matches of the series, you did win the match that mattered against the Carolina Hurricanes, which was the one that took place a couple of weeks ago, that you won 6-3 in order to be able to even qualify for the playoffs. So well done, boys. Thank you for the unexpected bonus, and we will see you next year. Edmonton Oilers fans, a little nervous too. After last night, Anaheim took the win. So the Oilers are down 3-1 in their series. Montreal Canadiens, tough loss last night. A good win earlier on the weekend, but a tough loss last night after being up 2-0 at the end of the second period. Tampa Bay came in and scored 3 goals. So it really looked like Montreal was going to go up 3-1, because when they were up 2-0, that was the only time that anybody had been up by 2 goals in a match since this whole thing started. The first 3 matches were in overtime. But yesterday it was a regular time 3-2 win, and the series is tied at 2. And for those who are fans of the Toronto Raptors, they've tied their series at 2 with the Cleveland Cavaliers, with 2 wins at home. So there you go, kids and cubs. Words of wisdom. Like I said, I put in the extra hockey stuff there to go with it, but yeah, my words sometimes be more grateful for the bonus rather than the fact that you didn't win at all. There you go. Cubs, it's now time for some audience participation. At the count of 3, can I please have you say, please cue the cock on 1 and 2 and 3. There, yeah. Ooh, yeah, that is the good stuff there. And since you are cheering, I will give you a little cock-a-doodle-doo just for you. Here it is, kids and cubs. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. Okay, kids and cubs, I have no idea if I'm back. I saw the music kind of fast forward. And I do not see. There I am. And there you are. Okay. A little bit about Canadians who make us proud, as promised before we go, since we've been talking about shots. Let's talk about some Canadian athletes, some shot putters, because it seems that Canadians are particularly. Why do I'm so sorry, kids and cubs. I do not know why I said shot put. I meant hammer throw. I was so proud of myself that I had made a play on words with shots that I forgot it was hammer throw and not shot put. But anyway, let's just go with it anyway because we're celebrating Canadians. But it seems that Cameron won a second consecutive women's hammer throw title at the Kip Kenew Classic on Friday, where fellow Canadian Ethan Katzberg prevailed in the men's event for a third consecutive year at the Nyayo National Stadium in Nairobi. Rogers from Richmond, BC, had a top throw of 80.03 meters, which was 4.84 clear of France's Rose Loga, her closest competitor in the World Athletics Continental Tour Gold Track and Field meet. Rogers, 26, is coming off her second world title win last summer and is also the defending Olympic champion after taking gold at Paris 2024. She also beat her own winning mark of 77.93 from the 2025 edition of the Kip Kenew Classic. Okay. Katzberg of Nanaimo, BC, also a two-time world champion and defending Olympic champion in the men's hammer throw, topped Friday's seven-man field with a season world-leading throw of 82.43, 30 centimeters shy of his 2025 performance at the competition. The three-time reigning Canadian champion finished 1.14 meters ahead of Ukraine's Mikhailo Kokan, the 2024 Olympic bronze medalist. Volodymyr Myslivchuk of the Czech Republic was a distant third. Katzberg, who turned 24 on April 5th, won the Kip Kenew event in 2024 and was second the previous year. Last September 16th, he set a North American, Canadian, and meet mark with an 84.70 effort at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. Also on the track Friday, Toronto sprinter Aaron Brown placed third behind Kenya's Ferdinand Omanla, the season best 996, and South Africa's Rivaldo Roberts in the men's 100-meter race. It was the second 100 race of the season for Brown, who went 10:26 on April 18th at the Tom Jones Memorial Invitational in Gainesville, Florida. He opened his outdoor season earlier this month with a victory in the 4x100 relay at the Miramar Invitational in Florida. Brown, 33, was a member of Canada's men's 100-meter relay squad that captured a World Championship silver medal last September 20th. Canadian anchor Andre DeGrasse battled Noah Lyles down the home stretch, but the American pulled away over the final meters to reach the finish line in a world-leading 37.29 seconds at Japan National Stadium. So there you go, 2 golds and a bronze for Canadian track and field athletes at this event. And sorry, kids and cubs, that it was, in fact, hammer throw and not shot put. Darn. Thought I had nailed that. I was so excited and so proud of myself. Also, kids and cubs, congratulations, since we were talking about hockey, to the Ottawa Charge, who did defeat the Toronto Scepters over the fourth team playoffs of the PWHL, which should be starting relatively soon. And then, of course, kids and cubs, since we are still talking hockey, at the World Championships under 18, Canada was taking on Finland in the last match of the round robin this morning while we were doing the show. And it was a very impressive victory for Canada, 7-0 against Finland, the nation that was actually top of the standings in their pool at the time of this match. The victory puts Canada at the top of Group A despite their first match loss to Slovakia, and they enter into the playoffs at top of the pool. Probably will be taking on Denmark in the next round in the playoffs, I would assume, if everything stays according to form here. So there we go, off to the playoffs. And kids and cubs, that is all I've got for you today. And to be told, well, actually, that's not true. That's not all I've got for you. I've got enough to keep on going for another 4 or 5 hours, to be totally honest. All the notes that I took on the weekend. But that's the main stuff that I have for you today. Remember, kids and cubs, there's a fall, a spring economic summit, not summit, statement going to be delivered tomorrow by the Minister of Finance. So that will probably be big news over the next 2 days. And there was an announcement today that you've talked about in the chat about starting a sovereign wealth fund for Canada, something that we have proposed a couple of times on the show. Particularly when it comes to critical minerals, we may have missed the boat when it comes to oil and gas. The first time around to be Norway, but with critical minerals, we do have a chance. So, and it looks like the Prime Minister has announced something like that. We will have more for you on that tomorrow. But for now, kids and cubs, that's it. I'm going to say amour et bisous. And this was much longer than I thought it was going to be today. But hey, there's always much more to say on Mondays when we come back. So I'm just going to say that. And with that, I'm going to say I'm off, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.